Plenty to talk about at the previous round of the Porter Group V8 Utes at Manfield, with Richard Moore retaining the championship lead. But everyone was talking about this, a massive accident in race number 2 for Paul Manuel in the Super Freight Partmaster Holden. Richard Moore came through with a win and inherited the championship lead. It was great close racing, and we expect the same at Hampton Downs. Shell Helix Motor Oils proudly present the Porter Group V8 Ute Championship. Round 3 of the championships, and the drivers headed to Hampton Downs, and the championship couldn't be closer. Richard Moore, the defending champion, edging to the front after a brilliant round at Manfield. If the drivers were happy, there was none happier than series manager Paul Isaac.
It's been a great season so far. We've got a good field, another 16 here again today, 17 at Manfield the last round, and there's a lot of interest being created in the category with our restructure, and it's coming along good. Alex is great. She's done a fantastic job. She's up around 5th or 6th already, and she's very consistent, clean driver, driving extremely well. We're proud of it. It's a good opportunity for any other woman that want to get involved in the category. It's a good stepping stone category as well. It's going to go down to the wire, I think. This season probably will be decided in the last race at Pukekohe. I'd imagine it's very tough. Paul Manuel's come back and extremely good yesterday, and Richard's doing well, and he's fighting to hang on to his lead. But the top 3 or 4 positions are very close in points, so it's going to be down to the wire.
Third quickest in the all-important qualifying was Andrew Porter with a 1:16.361. Second in the best of the Fords was Glenn Collinson with a 1:16.282. But topping the charts after rebuilding the Holden was Paul Manuel.
The track's very tough. I think there's a lot of guys that got caught out by the track. So we made a little change, all we could do with 8 minutes to go. And normally the green lap is lap 2 or 3. We got it on lap 9, so I'm pretty happy with what we did in the end. Yeah, it's tight, which is great. It's great for the class. Be cool.
So Paul Manuel on pole position, alongside him Glenn Collinson. Row number 2, Andrew Porter and Richard Moore. Row number 3, Alexandra Whitley and Peter Chaos Ward. And in row number 4, it's Chris Hanley and Brett Rudd. Row number 5, Jeff SOS Spencer. Further down through the field, have a look out there for Brett the Bullet Main in the Ford. Set to go, the lights will go out very shortly. He'll be racing with 1 of 3 for the weekend here for the Porter Group V8 Utes, and Paul Manuel gets a great start, but no one gets a better one than Richard Moore. He dives down to the inside. Now, is he going to have a go at Porter? No, I think he thinks better of it, and he will trail into second place as they head out of turn 1 here at Hampton Downs. Manuel in the front, Richard Moore coming from the second row, already up in the second place. Big mover too coming from Collinson, the DNA paints forward, just trying to get around the inside of Porter, and manages to do so. So Andrew the high man Porter goes back one. Peter Chaos Ward in behind him, and then I think it would be the LDV Holden Ute of Alexandra Whitley. Brett the Scud Rudd in there as well, as they work their way through the high pool hairpin and up the hill for the first time and down into the dipper they'll come. So Paul Manuel, after rebuilding the Ute all through the week, the team worked long hours to get that Holden back to tip-top fashion, and that's where it is now as he leads the field down the short chute, heading into the sweeper at the end of the circuit here at Hampton Downs. Well, is he going to be able to resurrect some points here after having a terrible round by his own high standards at Manfield? Here is Alexandra Whitley. She's done a fantastic job this season in the LDV Ute and continues to do so, running with the big boys, certainly not intimidated by them. Right on the tailpipe at the moment of Peter Chaos Ward. Looking at his qualifying performance, he looks like he's coming back to his very best, but there's none better at the moment than Paul Otto Manuel, the Partmaster. Super Freight Holden. Look at the close battling here. Oh, they say rubbin's racing. We get a bit of rubbin in the Porter Group V8 Utes, and you can see it there from the higher man himself. The man from the Porter Group, that's Andrew Porter, multi-time truck champion, absolutely all over the back of the DNA Paints Ford of Glenn the Coyote Collinson. They go up over the top of the hill and head down into turn 3 now. Lining up the higher pool. Oh, and there's a touch, and there's a bit more than a touch, and Collinson spun off. Heavy impact. Oh, Andrew Porter just got a little bit wrong there. Here it is on the replay. Just misjudged the distance between himself and the Ford. I think big frontal damage on the Holden as well. But Collinson's race looks like it's done in the early stages. And look at the bonnet on the Porter Group Holden of Andrew Porter. So already we've had some drama here in race number 1. Richard Moore holds him to second place. Porter in third with the damage on the Holden. Right in behind him, as close as you like, once again, tucked right under the tailgate. That's Peter Chaos Ward. There's Alexander Whitley, and there's Brett the Scud right in there as well. So these guys forming a little bit of a battle group, and that means the front two will start to get away just a little bit. Up the big long front straight here at Hampton Downs. It is Manuel. It is Richard Danger Moore. He's the championship leader, remember, on points. Here comes Chaos down the inside of Porter. Brilliant move from Peter Chaos Ward. Oh, and Porter's going to argue about it. He's going to drive down the inside. Can't get it done. Yes, he does. Unbelievable stuff. And Alexandra Whitley in the LDV ute looks like she's going to go past as well. So Chaos goes from third through to about fifth in the blink of an eye. Well, it's been a hallmark of the racing for the Porter Group V8 Utes right across the season. The racing's been tight right down the field, and that's what we're seeing here. Jeff SOS Spencer just keeping Matt the Stinger Spratt on us there as well. Spratt in the FG Ford, remember. That's the Australian ute that the Stonemans have rebuilt. So look for him. He started at the back. He had an issue with his transponder in the qualifying, and they never registered a time. So he's got a long way to go, but he's starting to cut his way through the field. Right in behind him, Chris Handley, back in a Holden and going well. Just have a look at this as Spratt rounds up Jeff SOS Spencer. So work their way round the big sweeper, the Hydrolink Dale ITM sweeper here at the bottom end of the circuit. Hampton Downs, the venue for round 3. Brett the Scud Rudd back into it after Manfield sat out the early part of the season, but now a fixture once again in the Porter Group V8 Utes. Has finished as high as second in the championship. There is the battle for third through fifth on your screen at the moment. Matt the Stinger Spratt, though, has made the most progress. He's come from the very back of the field and already starting to threaten to knock on the door of the top 5 here. Right in behind him, SOS, Jeff Spencer, one of the originals, the core steel Holden, and then behind him, Chris Handley, as I mentioned before, out of the Ford and into the Holden. Over the top of the hill they come once again. This is the battle group for second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth and seventh. Alexander Whitley now leading that group as they come out of the higher Paul hairpin and head up the hill once more. Just up ahead of them, Paul Manuel still leads it. Richard Moore in second place. This is where the racing is at the moment. Well, she climbed into a V8 ute for the first time this season. LDV picked up some sponsorship for her and she hasn't looked back. Alexandra Whitley got her started motor racing in New Zealand, the SsangYong Action Ute Series. This is vastly different from what she'd be used to from the SsangYong, but she really has put up a good account of herself. Peter Ward, another one of the originals, just in front of Brett the Scud Rudd as they work their way up the hill once again. Matt Spratt right in behind Rudd now as they head up the hill here at Hampton Downs, reach terminal velocity as they crest the top of the hill and then come into turn 1, which is blind for them. That's where we find the race leader, Paul Otto Manuel, past New Zealand V8 champion, a teammate of the man that's chasing him, or past teammate of the man that's chasing him, and Richard Moore. There's Moore in the Mitre 10 trade ute. He's the current champion, the current points leader of the new championship series as well. So it's been a pretty good season for the man they call Danger. Richard Moore, up and over the top of the hill they come, out of turn 2 and into 3. Now heading down towards the higher Paul hairpin. And these two have cleared out. Great performance coming from Alexandra Whitley in the LDV Holden. She's up into third place now. He comes down the inside, comes Maddie Spratt in the Ford, gets up on Peter Chaos Ward, picks up another position. Remember, Spratt's come from the very back. They had a problem in the qualifying, didn't register a time. So now his next target will be the LDV ute of Alexandra Whitley. There she is there, out of the dipper and heading down the short chute. So that's third on your screen. Fourth and behind would be Spratt. Then it would be Peter Chaos Ward in fifth. Behind him, Brett the Scud Rudd. Then it'd be Chris Handley. And then it'd be Jeff SOS Spencer in the next group. So Spratt done a little bit of racing in Australia in this past New Zealand off-season, and it shows. And look at this battle here. Chris Handley being showed the wide side of the track by Alexandra Whitley, and it's side by side, but he gets the better run of it as they head up the hill. And going into the pits, well, there's an issue for the LDV ute of Alexandra Whitley, so her race is terminated a little bit too soon. No problems for this man, though. He's going to have to tip the hat to the crew. They've been rebuilding this ute right throughout the week. They put 2 new front chassis rails in it. They had the motor out for the best part of 4 days. Only finished the repair very late or very early Friday morning before the first practice session here at Hampton Downs. So Manuel driving a brand new, untried ute, qualified the best, got away the best, and leads the race. Richard Moore came from the second row to slot up into second place. He just works in and out of the Porsche dipper now and down the short chute once again. And these two are having a bit of a battle on their own because, as you see, there's nothing but clear track behind them. But now it's filled by Matt the Stinger Spratt in the FG Ford, the Primo Grove Ford. And in behind him now it's Peter Chaos Ward, Brett the Scud Rudd and Chris Handley. Remember, we lost Alexandra Whitley in that previous lap. She's gone into the pits with a mechanical issue. So these old stages really know how to put on a show, and that's what the Porter Group V8 Utes will be doing all season. One round to go after this at Pukekohe, but this could be the championship decider. It's certainly played that role before here at Hampton Downs. Up the top of the hill they come. Third, fourth, fifth and sixth on your screen at the moment. Last lap board is out. And this one's going to go right down to the wire, I would think. These guys have raced long and hard together for the last 4 or 5 seasons. They know exactly that they can trust each other. There's Matt the Stinger Spratt, did a pretty good job at Manfield. So he's safely in third. Richard Moore trying to stalk the Super Freight Partmaster Holden of Paul Manuel, but not really making much of an impression. So maybe now he's thinking championship points and he maybe backs off as they go into the dipper for the last time. Holden, and Ford is the order in race number 1 for the Porter Group Utes. There are the 2 Holdens. The Partmaster Super Freight Holden of Paul Auto Manual. The Biter 10 Trade Ute of Richard Danger Moore, and then it's Matt the Stinger Spratt in the first of the Fords, and then it's another group of Holdens. Round the sweeper for the last time comes Paul Auto Manual, and this one will be sweet. He knows how long it's taken for the crew to put this very damaged ute back together after Manfield, and he's going to give him the just reward with the win here in race number 1. Paul Manuel crosses the stripe and puts valuable points in the book. Richard Moore goes across the line in second place, and in third place it will be Matt the Stinger Spratt. Fastest lap of the race also going to Paul Manuel. Oh, and just about contact right on the checkered flag. Paul Manuel gets the win. Richard Danger Moore holds on to the championship with second, and then it's Matt the Stinger Spratt, Brett Scud Rudd, and then Peter Chaos Ward, Chris Hammertime Handley, and Jason Mario. Glenn Collinson, unfortunately, credited with 11th place, but out of it early.
Good lead on Richard, and I see that Spratty's coming up thick and fast, which is concerning, but no, yeah, glad to have it from last weekend to this, where we are now. So a pole and a win is a bloody good start to the weekend, isn't it? So
got a great start, and I actually had a look down the inside of Paul into turn 1, and this tiny thought that I've never had before came over and said, you don't need to do that. So thinking about the championship, we just took it a bit easy, and we got away from a few of those guys at the back there. It looked like there was a bit of drama going on.
Had to show what I had, and started off the back, and yeah, just kept it clean, and the doors opened up, and got to use this car under brakes, and I did in the right places, and just plucked them off by surprise and got to third. So unbelievable, really. 8 laps to get to third. It was a good drive, so I'm really wrapped. Bring on tomorrow.
Well, a quick look at the highlights, and it was all Paul Auto Manual got away from the start. Good start too from Glenn Collinson, but then it all went tragically wrong for him in the early stages. Manual gets the win. Plenty more to come from Hampton Downs. Driving the second of the Panorama Motorsports cars, the Better Auto Parts Falcon, is Jason Mario Land.
This is my first full season of V8 Ute racing. I have done a couple of rounds in the 2015 season, but yeah, this is my first full season. But I think now that we've found some good speed and made those little gains to get us to mid-pack, the challenge doesn't seem so bad. There's a long way to go to the front, but it's achievable. It feels achievable. We've changed nothing on the ute. Like, the ute was good. It was a little bit of driver change. I think we had a few little pep talks and some driver training advice, and we've come a long way. It's made a big difference. We're definitely top 10 contenders now, and I would like to see hopefully a top 5 in tomorrow's reverse grid race would be great.
Well, this is how the grid looks. Jeff Spencer on pole, alongside him Jeff Kernahan, and then second row it's Dave Kernahan and Jason Mario Land. Chris Hammertime Hanley, Peter Chaos Ward in row number 4, Brett the Scud Rudd and Matt Spratt in 5. Further down through the field, watch for Andrew Highman Porter and Simon the Bandit Usher. Lights will go out. We will be racing in race number 2 of 3 for the Porter Group V8 Utes. And have a look at the start this time from Peter Chaos Ward. Just pokes his nose out and then drives right around the outside of one of the front runners there. And I'm pretty sure that was Ripples Kernahan. And now he's running a little bit wide, and that's going to cost them. They're all going to pass him down the inside, I would think. So it was an ambitious move there from the Chaos, and it hasn't really paid off. He's going to be caught out for track position through 2 as well. One going very wide there, and I think that was Jason Mario Land, just getting a little bit over anxious through turn number 2. They sort themselves out, and it's one of the originals in the front. That's the Holden, the Core Steel Buildings Holden of Jeff SOS Spencer. Following him, it is Kernahan. I think it's Jeff, and it's Dave in behind him. So it's the family of Kernahans in second and third. Then it would be Chris Hammertime Hanley, Matt Spratt trying to get around the outside of him. Oh, and there's a little bit of panel rubbing there, and then a punch in the backside just for good measure as well as they come off the dirt and back onto the black stuff. That's the battle going on further down through the field. Matt, the Stinger Spratt, did a great drive in race number 1, came from dead last to third, looking to repeat that exploit here. And there is Glenn Collinson. Remember, a costly problem for him early on, and once again everyone finding the track limits, and that was Peter Chaos Ward, and off goes Jason Land. Can he keep it off the tyre wall? Yes he can. Can he back onto the track? I think he can. The racing continues. Jeff SOS Spencer in the front. Kernahan, Hanley. Then it's Spratt. Then it would be Richard Moore. Then it's the DNA Custom Paints Falcon of Glenn Collinson. Just going up the inside of him was Brett the Scud Rudd. So they're swapping positions here as they sort themselves out. The reverse grid race. It's always the most exciting of the weekend. Big lock up there from the Porter Ute by the look of it. Andrew the Highman Porter using all of the brakes. These big brakes on these Utes and the Yokohama tyres. Using them to the max as they work their way over the top of the hill and into the high pull hairpin. This big field goes on, and there's a bit of contact there between the Highman and Peter Chaos Ward by the look of it. Paul Manuel trying to dive up the inside there. Alexandra Whitley in the fight as well. Whitley down the inside, the LDV sponsored Holden, trying to get her way toward the front of the field. There is the Highman, there is Manuel. These guys swapping paint as they come out of the dipper and down the short chute, but that's happening at the back of the field. Meantime at the front, it's SOS, Jeff Spencer in the lead. And look at Hanley. He couldn't get much closer to Jeff Kernahan as they work their way around the sweeper at the bottom end of the circuit. These guys battling it out like it's a World Championships, and they're well down the field. Hanley looking for the inside run as they head up the hill now. It all comes down to the drive you get out of the sweeper, and Hanley's got him. Kernahan's going to have to give the spot away. I think track position will go to Chris Hammertime Hanley as they head down into turn number 1. Oh, and there's just a little bit of contact, and now Jeff Kernahan's got all he can handle from the KCL Ford. Is he going to be able to keep it off the grass? I think so, but only just. Brilliant racing here in the Porter Group V8 Utes. How many times have we said that throughout the season? It is unbelievable. The action is so close. Look at Hanley. The Matt, the Stinger Spratt right in behind him. Then it's Richard Moore. Remember, the fast boys have come from the back for the reverse grid race. Down the inside of the Spratt comes Richard Moore, and he pushes Spratt wide, and it makes it work. So the pass is made, and Richard Moore on the journey. Now, where is Paul Manuel? He hasn't been able to get through the traffic quite as well as the likes of Moore and Matt the Spratt. Oh, a little bit of contact there between Brett the Scud Rudd and Richard Moore. No harm, no foul, though. They continue on through the dipper, through the Porsche dipper, and down the short chute they come now. 22 is your race leader, and that is Jeff SOS Spencer. And he is doing a great job, and he's keeping out of trouble, if you can, in this closely bunched racing that we've got here. Collinson getting a little bit closer to the Ute of Brett the Scud Rudd. That's Holden on Ford, or Ford on Holden, as they head up the top of the hill once more. Out of the sweeper they come. It's all about the speed they can generate as they head over the top. Spencer in the front. Dirty Dave Kernahan in second place, and then it's Chris Hammertime Hanley, Richard Moore, Matt the Stinger Spratt. Oh, getting it all wrong, coming into 1, and that was a high-speed get-off for Peter Chaos Ward, and there'll be heavy front-end damage to the Holden, to the Ward Demolition Holden. Meantime, the racing goes on. I'm sure that will bring out the yellow flags. It might just be localised for the moment as the rest of the field head out of turn 2 and up the hill and through turn 3. So 22, SOS, Jeff Spencer leads it. Dirty Dave Kernahan looks on the outside in the forward. Can't make it work, but he's just opened the door as they go through the hairpin for Chris Hammertime Hanley. And Hanley doesn't need telling twice now as he got track position as they head down into the dipper. He's going to take the wide line. Kernahan down the inside. There'll be a little bit of contact here, and look at the damage on the front of the Porter Group. Ward Demolition Holden of Peter Chaos Ward. Heavy contact with the concrete here at Hampton Downs. Back to the front of the field, and SOS, Jeff Spencer, lives to fight another day. Hanley up into second place now. Richard Moore looking to take the running from Kernahan. He'll dive down the inside as they work their way down and out of the big sweeper at the bottom end of the circuit. Once again, a little bit of contact there between Dirty Dave and Matt the Stinger Spratt. Both of them survive it, but Spratt's lost the impetus, and that means Brett the Scud Rudd will pass him, and he does so. Oh, and Scud's gone into the wall. Oh, I think Matt the Spratt turned him, but that's a massive, massive accident on the front straight here at Hampton Downs, and I think it's the 17 involved as well, and that is Glenn the Coyote Collinson. And look at the damage on the 99. Have a look at it on the replay. There is Matt Spratt. Oh, and he's just gone. He just maybe nudged the Holden of Brett the Scud Rudd, and it was all it took at that pace, and they're both heavily into the wall. The Scuds come back across the track, and Collinson's got nowhere to go, and he's ploughed into him, and look at the damage there. That one is a write-off. Well, folks, this is going to take a while, so we'll take a break. We'll be back with more.
Yeah, I'm feeling okay. Yeah, definitely the biggest stunt I've ever had. But hey, at the end of the day, everything's done its job. Good helmet, hands device. You can't spend enough money on safety equipment, that's for sure.
Here we go, restart of race number 2, and it's SOS, Jeff Spencer in the front. It's Kernahan through in second place. Then it's Hanley. Then it's Richard Moore. Then we go back to the LDV Ute, I think, of Alexandra Whitley. She's in the mix as well. So too is Andrew the Highman Porter and Paul Manuel finally. Oh, and there's a problem here for the Ryco filters. Ford as well. They get going again. Meantime, the race continues at the front of the field. Dirty Dave Kernahan sitting in second place, looking for a pretty good result here. In fact, he's looking for first as he tries to dive down the inside as they work their way through the high pool hairpin. And he might have just done it. He might have just knocked Jeff Spencer off his line just a little bit. No, Spencer comes back at him as they head up the hill and down into the Porsche dipper. On the outside this time is Dirty Dave, and that's going to cost him a spot, I think, because lurking there is past champion Chris Hanley in the Placemakers Holden. In fact, they're door handle to door handle as they go down the short chute. Well, Spencer will have one eye out the window and one eye on the mirror, I would think, because the attacks are coming left, right and centre. They're queuing up to get around this front three. There is Richard Moore. He's the points leader. He came second in the first race to Paul Manuel. There is Manuel, and right in behind Manuel, it's Alexander Whitley. So the heavies are starting to get to the front here. Richard Moore got a good drive on Kernahan, so he might take the spot as they head back up the hill and down into this off-camber turn number 1. This all-important corner. Track position so important here. And Richard Moore down the inside of Kernahan. He's got the spot. Going with him is Matt the Stinger Spratt. A little bit of contact as they head down into 1. Andrew Porter in there as well. Paul Manuel just up ahead of him. Here comes the big move from Chris Hammertime Hanley in a Holden. Remember, this time he's been started the season in a Ford, but now back in the Placemakers Holden, and he is right on the back of SOS. Jeff Spencer, one of the originals. Right in behind him, it's Richard Danger Moore. He's the current champion. He's the current points leader. He's sitting in third place. You just get the feeling he's not happy with that because he's getting plenty of attention from Matt the Stinger Spratt. The Spratt banging on the tailgate as they head up into the Porsche dipper once again. Spratt on the outside this time. Don't think he'll make it round there the long way. And Porter's there should any of them make a mistake. And Spratt runs it a little bit wide, and maybe the momentum now shifts to Andrew the Highman Porter on Matt the Stinger Spratt. It's a straight out drag race down the short chute, but it's Spratt that comes out on top, so he holds on to fourth place. Then it's Porter, then it's Manuel, then it is the LDV Ute of Alexandra Whitley, and in behind him it is the Kernahan. He shuffled from second place. He's now back in about 6th, so it's all gone horribly wrong in the last couple of laps for Dirty Dave Kernahan. Over the top they come once again. The attacks continue to come. Hanley looks left, looks right, can't find a way round. But while he's trying to get around Spencer, Richard Moore, he's the danger man. Danger man Moore is right there in third, and he's now putting the pressure on Hanley. Left, right, centre. Where's the pass coming from? Hanley tries to dive down the outside, and right around the outside of both of them comes the points leader. Can he make it stick? This will be a brilliant move if he can. He gains track position as they go up over the top, and Richard Moore gets the lead. Brilliant stuff from Danger Moore, right round the outside to pass from third to first. Matt the Stinger Spratt's going to try and do it round the high. Paul Hairpin. It's not going to work for him, but he'll be on the inside for the dipper, so he should be able to recover a little bit here. So Richard Moore in first place, then it's Hanley, then it is Spratt. Then we go back to Highman. In behind him, it would be Paul Manuel looking for racing room now. SOS Spencer's gone backwards. Alexander Whitley in behind him. Dirty Dave Kernahan behind the Paul Manuel ute for the moment. Round the sweeper at the bottom end of the circuit. Once again, it's a Holden benefit here at Hampton Downs because they're in command of this one. Focus in on Andrew, the Highman Porter, had his first win at the previous round in Mansfield, and right in the mix here as they go up the top of the hill once more. Richard Danger Moore is the race leader. Once again, the attacks being mounted. Matt the Stinger Spratt looking to get any way he can to get around Chris Hammer Time Hanley. Just can't quite do it at the moment, but he knows he's there. Hammer Time will have the pressure rising under that helmet because he knows the Stinger is coming. He knows Andrew Highman Porter is coming, and there is Paul Manuel. So Manuel's going to be in this before this lap's out. Richard Moore trying to keep out of trouble at the front of the field. He'll know what's going on behind him. He'll have a quick look in the mirrors, and he knows there's a hungry pack trying to chase him down. None more hungry than Matt the Stinger Spratt. Involved in that incident with Collinson and Brett the Scud Rudd, but back into racing mode here and trying every which way to get around Chris Hanley, and he can't do it. He tries inside, he tries outside. He can't make the pass work. The Holden of Hanley holds him out. Look at him, circling like a shark. He sees the blood in the water. He just can't quite get close enough to get a good bite at it. The Stinger Spratt sits in third place. Richard Moore just starting to edge away here a little bit while these two are repulsing the attack and counter-attack. And now Andrew Highman Porter in this group as well. So the Holdens in the front, 1 lap to go. What can Richard Moore do about this? Can he gain a win here? Can he extend his championship point lead? Through turn 1 they go. Oh, a little bit sideways that time was the Stinger. That's maybe going to cost them. That's going to bring Porter back into it as they race down the front straight here into turn number 2. Once again, as close as you like. They say Rubbins Racing. We've seen plenty of that as they go up and over the top of the hill through 3, heading down into the high Paul Hairpin. Looking for an outside run this time. The outside-inside cut. Is it going to work for Stinger? He tries to get close to Hanley. He doesn't want to touch him. He doesn't want to push him off the circuit because you can guarantee that the judges will be looking at the performance of the FG Falcon of Matt the Stinger Spratt. He sits in third place for the moment. He's running out of time. He's running out of track space as well. We're running to the checkered flag. Richard Danger Moore is in command of this one. Second and third yet to be decided, I would think. One more corner to come, and it's probably the hardest corner on the circuit. You've got to keep the pace up to generate good speed up the hill. Can the Spratt do anything about it? No, he can't for the moment. Richard Moore's going to come away with the win. He's got a healthy gap by a Porter Group V8 Ute standards. He'll win it. Looks like Hanley will go across the line in second place. Yes, he does. Fastest lap of the race goes to Hanley. Then it's Matt the Stinger Spratt. And then it would be the high man, and that is Andrew Porter. Behind him, it's Alexander Whitley, then Paul Otto Manuel, Jeff Spencer, Dirty Dave Kernahan, Jeff Ripples Kernahan, Simon the Bandit Usher, and Jason Mario Land. In 11th place, it's Brent Main. Dave Shaggy Lowe is in 12th, and then the rest are DNFs.
We made some adjustments last night. We certainly weren't as fast as Paul and Matt, so made some changes to the Mitre 10 Trade Racing Ute, and you know, she was bearing away. It was a beautiful ute to drive. I was actually leading the race before the red flag. We managed to get into the lead after turn 1, but unfortunately we had to go back, which is fine. Gave it a little bit more of a challenge and made it a little bit more exciting at the end there. But yeah, look, I occasionally had a look back in the rear view mirror to see where that green bonnet was, and you know, at the end of the day, that's all I'm really concerned about. If I can go out and have a whole hell of a lot of fun while I'm doing it, then all the better.
Plenty of action in race number 2. It started right from the get-go. Peter Ward ran a little bit wide. Brett the Scud Rudd got into the side of Richard Moore, but it didn't stop Moore taking the valuable points and the win from race number 2. So the final race of the weekend for the Porter Group V8 Utes, decided on points of the meeting. That means it's Richard Moore on pole. Alongside him, Paul Manuel. Row number 2, Hanley and Porter. Row number 3, Alexander Whitley and Dave Kernahan. Row number 4, Jeff Spencer, Mario Land. Row number 5, Jeff Ripples, Kernahan. Further down through the field, watch for Simon the Bandit Usher in the Ford. We are set to go. There's a couple missing after the carnage in race number 2, but still a strong field here for the Porter Group V8 Utes. And who's got the best start? Is it going to be Manuel or is it going to be Richard Moore? Oh, it's Richard Moore, and Manuel thinks about it and then thinks twice and thinks, no, I might just try and snuggle up and try and get round the outside. Not going to work for him. He finds the curbs. That puts him back onto the straight and narrow, if you like, and it nearly takes out Chris Hammertime Hanley. Hammertime Hanley's got track positions for 2, so he'll hold on to that. Manuel have got the inside run as they come up over the top of the hill, so he'll stay in 3rd place, but he's got a lot of pressure now from Andrew the Higher Man Porter back in 4th. The rest of the field sorting themselves out. There's the LDV Ute of Alexander Whitley trying to get round the outside of Jeff SOS Spencer as they head through the higher pull hairpin and up into the Porsche Dipper for the first time. Action from the lights going out. That's what we've come to expect here in the Porter Group V8 Utes. Hanley dicing with Paul Auto Manuel. Manuel's got a good run. Oh, and there's a problem down through the field. I think that was Jeff Ripples Kernahan right over the ripple strip as he came out of the Porsche Dipper. Manages to hold on to it though. That's Matt the Stinger Spratt just up ahead of him. This is Alexandra Whitley. She has shown time and time again that she can more than match it with the boys as they come up the hill for the first time. Whitley in the LDV just in behind her, Jeff SOS Spencer. Then we go back to Kernahan. Then it's Matt the Stinger Spratt, and then it's the second of the Kernahans, and I think that's Dave in front of Jeff at the moment. Meantime, front of the field, Chris Hanley's got all he can handle from Paul Auto Manuel. Manuel won race number 1, remember. Looking for valuable points here in the championship. This is the penultimate round. We go to Pukekohe for the final, and it's still too close to call. Richard Moore, the defending champion, the points leader going into this round. He will have extended that here at Hampton Downs. But plenty to play for. Out of the dipper they come. Holdens 1, 2 and 3 and make it 4. Moore, Hanley, Manuel, Porter, Whitley. The first 5 of them are from the GM. This is Andrew Highman Porter getting under a little bit of pressure there from Alexander Whitley. A little bit of damage on the front corner of the LDV Ute as they head up the hill once again. Jeff SOS Spencer in behind them. We go back to the front of the field. Heading downhill now into the apex of this off-camber corner. It really does worry the drivers, especially in the wet conditions. Haven't had any wet today. It's been great conditions here at Hampton Downs. Oh, and he thinks the Ford's a Massport. There's Matt the Stinger Spratt taking all 4 wheels off the track and onto the grass. He will hold his position though. He had a bit of an advantage. Out of the dipper they come once again. Moore just starting to get away just a little bit. Manuel looking to go down the inside of Hanley as they come through the high pull hairpin. Can't get it done though. So for the moment, Hanley sits in 2nd place. Right in behind him, it is Paul Auto Manuel. Then it is Andrew Highman Porter, multiple truck champion of New Zealand. Would love to add the V8 Ute title to his resume. Probably not going to do it this season, but maybe next. Behind him, it is Alexander Whitley in the LDV Ute. Then we'd go back to Jeff SOS Spencer. And behind him, it would be Matt the Stinger Spratt in the FG Ford. Spratt looking to round up the Holdens. But it's the Holdens holding sway at the moment. Up the hill they come. Moore still leads it. Now he starts to extend it, maybe 3 Ute lengths as they head across the stripe once again. Line astern here in race number 3 for the weekend for the Porter Group V8 Utes. More down the outside, then he'll cut down to the apex. Manuel a little bit more attentive this time with Chris Hanley. Not going to do anything too silly, but gains a little bit of track position. Snuggles up to the tailgate once again. So this battle, you get the feeling, isn't done with yet. And now Porter's in it as well. Through 2 they go. Just a little bit of encouragement there from Paul Manuel for Chris Handley to go just a little bit quicker. You can see the dents on the tailgate as they come out of the dipper once again, to head for the higher pull hairpin, I should say. Manuel looking on the outside. It won't work there, and here's Porter up the inside. He's going to take the spot, I think. Manuel will have track position as they head down into the Porsche dipper. Porter won't be able to live on the outside, I don't think. Now he's going to have to pull back, and he's going to have to find a spot to pull back in because Alexander Whitley is right there in the LDV ute. So these four having a great little battle. Richard Moore, in the meantime, is just starting to get away. That's Moore, the Mitre 10 Trade Ute Holden out in the front. Then it's the Placemakers Holden. Then it's the Parkmaster Super Freight Holden. And in behind them, it is the Porter Group Holden. Here are the Kernahan family, Dirty Dave and Jeff Ripples Kernahan. These guys originals as well. They were there right from day one of New Zealand V8 Ute racing. Big supporters of the Blue Oval as they head up the hill now. Another Ford in behind them, and that's Jason Mario Land in the second of the Panorama Motorsports Falcons. We go back to Dave Lowe by the look of it. It's him in the blue and white Ford as they head down into one. So this battle at the back of the field. Just got a look there at the 94, and that is Simon Usher in a Ford this time, the United Fragile Freight car, number 94. And behind him, the Ryco Ford. Up over the top of the hill they come into turn number 3, heading down towards the higher pull hairpin. So 5 Fords lined astern at the back of the field, but it's Holden's calling the shots at the front. Out of the hairpin they come, heading up into the dipper. Oh, and a problem here for the number 90, and that's Chris Hammertime Hanley. He's gone off in the Porsche dipper. So that's going to cost him because he was running up in the front. He was running up on the podium spot. So now Hanley's gone. So that means Paul Manuel and Andrew Porter move up one. They're now sitting in second and third place. Alexander Whitley through in fourth, and then it's Matt the Stinger Spratt. So Manuel, from the misfortune of Hanley's, going to gain a few more points here. I don't think anyone's got an answer for this man, Richard Danger Moore. Well, he claimed his championship here at Hampton Downs. The conditions were completely different from what we've got here today. It was raining cats and dogs. It's beautiful sunshine here in the North Waikato. And that's why I think part of the reason that the racing's been so good this weekend. There is Manuel. Right in behind him, it is Andrew Porter. Then it is Alexander Whitley. Whitley getting a little bit closer as they come out of 2 now. Matt the Stinger Spratt just drifting off the pace just a hair as they work their way down towards the higher pull hairpin once again. Richard Moore comfortable. These guys anything but. Up the hill they climb into the Porsche dipper. Manuel, Porter, Whitley, Spratt right back in this too. Meantime, at the front of the field, out of the dipper, using the curbs to straighten up the Mitre 10 Trade Ute Holden of Richard Danger Moore. The camera leans foreshortens it. He's got quite an advantage as they head down into the sweeper at the bottom end of the circuit. There's no advantage really though for Paul Manuel, and there's not much advantage now for Alexander Whitley either, because Matt the Stinger Spratt, well, we're so accustomed to see him do this. He stalks his prey for a couple of laps and then he'll make the move, but he might not be able to do it this time round because Whitley has got a fair bit of racecraft under that helmet. She's done a lot of kart racing. She knows all about close quarters racing. She races in the SsangYong Action Utes, and that's really a carbon copy of kart racing. Talk about close quarters, and she more than holds her own here in the Porter Group V8 Utes. The LDV Holden getting a little bit of attention now from Matt the Stinger Spratt, and that's allowed the gap to grow a little bit between Whitley and Porter and Manuel. So once again, the dynamics of the race playing out in the closing stages. There's Whitley, there's the Stinger. He's getting a little bit closer as they head down into the hairpin once again. He's going to dive to the inside. Or Whitley might have left the door open a little bit here. They get very close, and Whitley runs it a little bit wide coming out, and the Stinger Spratt goes a little bit sideways. So it'll be status quo as they head down into the dipper. This action going in just outside the top 5. Matt the Stinger Spratt makes a little bit of a mistake there. Just runs it a little bit wide so Whitley can breathe again. There is the race leader, comfortable. Paul Manuel starting to get a little bit of daylight between himself now and Andrew the High Man Porter in second. Then there is this battle here for 3rd and 4th, and what a beauty it is. Make it 4th and 5th, I beg your pardon. Down the inside comes the Ford of Matt the Stinger Spratt just running a little bit wide up onto the curbs is Alexander Whitley. It's Holden on Ford. It's the LDV Holden versus the Primo Grove Ford as they come up over the top once again. Matt the Stinger Spratt's going to have track position as they head down into one. I don't think Whitley's going to be able to live there on the outside of him. She's going to try it though. She's going to try and go around the outside as they head down into one. I don't think it's going to work. She's got to hold it in tight, and Spratt shows her the outside of the racetrack. Brilliant stuff. No contact at all in the close quarters racing here in the final stages of race number 3. Matt the Stinger Spratt moves up a spot, and Alexandra Whitley can't do anything about it. Over the top of the hill they come, heading down into the higher pull hairpin once again, and now Manuel's right on the back of Richard Moore, so it's on right around the circuit here, this 2.9 kilometre circuit. It's race number 3 for the Porter Group V8 Utes, and these two, once teammates, great friends off the track, adverse rivals on it. Paul Manuel stalking Richard Moore in the closing stages, and he is as close as you like as they head down into the sweeper once again. Manuel, a past New Zealand V8 champion. Richard Moore, the current Porter Group V8 Utes champion. And there is nothing in this as they work their way around the sweeper at the bottom end of the circuit once again. Good exit for both of them, pretty much a carbon copy of the lines as they head up the top of the hill once more. Porter Group Holden of Andrew the Highman Porter in 3rd place. Over the top they will come. 1 lap to go. Can Richard Moore hold on? Here comes the attack from Porter. He just, from Manuel, I beg your pardon. He comes down to the inside of the racetrack, cuts through the apex of one. They both run a little bit wide. That lets Porter get a little bit closer, but Richard Moore still in command of this. He'll be trying to make that Mitre 10 Trade Ute as wide as possible as they come out of 2 and go up over the top of turn number 3. Up over the hill they come. The Utes become very light. Now they come down under braking for the high pull hairpin. Manuel thinks about it. I don't think he's close enough. He puts the pressure on though. They head up over the hill into the Porsche Dipper for the last time. This is the place where Handley had a problem. Oh, and there's a problem. There's a Kernahan Ford stuck in the middle of the racetrack. Have a look at it on the replay. It's a mechanical issue by the look of it for the 21. Jeff Ripples Kernahan back into the racing. Manuel's close. He's going to run out of real estate, I would think. Moore's in control of it. Porter's there should these two make contact down into the last corner, the last lap, the last race of the weekend for the Porter Group V8 Utes, and Richard Moore has extended that lead just a little bit, and I think he's safe. Up the top of the hill they will come. Moore's going to make it a banner day for the Mitre 10 Trade Ute and take the maximum points for the meeting as we head to Pukekohe for the final. Paul Manuel gets the fastest lap of the day and the 2nd place, so good points for him as well, and another great drive from the high man, Andrew Porter. Across the line comes one of the originals, and that was Jeff SOS Spencer. He was back in 6th. So Richard Danger Moore claims the battle in race number 3 from Manuel, Porter, Spratt, Whitley, Spencer, Handley, Kernahan, Usher and Land. Further down through the field it was Brent Main, Dave Shaggy Lowe and Jeff Ripples Kernahan.
We're just working out the points now to see what the margin is, and we're going to start playing conservative even more for the next round, which is fine by me. It's an interesting place to be in. I haven't been there before, but yeah, 2 wins, 2nd, can't get much better than that. Look, Paul did a great job in that race, and to be fair, I probably need to go and buy Chris Handley a couple of beers because I think he held him up for a little while, which gave me a bit of a window because we certainly didn't have the speed at the end there. But yeah, it was close. It was good fun. Nice to be out with a clean ute. You know, the car's got a couple of scuff marks on it, and the Mitre 10 Trade Racing boys don't have too much work to do before the next round.
Bugger that last race. I was slow man Handley, get out of the way, but he drove the race that he needed to race, and yeah, we had the pace, we had the car then, awesome lap times, and that was cool. It was good. Yeah, great weekend, and it's looking a damn sight better than last weekend, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So that's all good.
Boys turned out a great handling car and put a new radiator in it and worked on it for about 4 hours last night. Got us back out on the track. Had a great race with Paul, and yeah, good clean racing.
Well, plenty of good clean racing this weekend. Let's have a look at the championship standings. Richard Danger Moore still on top, 44 points to the good of Paul Auto Manuel. Andrew Highman Porter through in 3rd, and then Chris Hammertime Handley in 4th. Plenty of racing to look forward to here in the Porter Group Utes. Plenty to talk about in the highlights. It had a bit of everything here at Hampton Downs. Close racing, classic racing in the Porter Group V8 Utes. And after 3 hard races, it was Richard Moore that came out on top. Shell Helix Motor Oils are proud to have presented coverage of the Porter Group V8 Utes Championship.